on your own, you might not really want to do something, but it depends on your circle of influence that is around you, And I know that it was from that, from that pressure. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, wake up in the morning, and now Irene puts up a statement. Now, there's no problem to even put up a statement if it is real and true. We didn't even have it, but now Irene now puts up a statement, making it look like she didn't even get her prize money. And that really hurt us because we were like,
Yeah, that's the thing. The way it was written written carefully to make it seem like that.
Yes. So and that is that in itself is deceptive.
Yes.
And we're like, but Irene, after all we've done for you, why would you go to this length? So that's it was so shocking.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Extra Access TV. I'm your girl, Rachel Mbuki, and I'm here to talk about Miss Universe Kenya. Yes, for the third time. I told you that there would be a part 3. Woo! When I tell you there has been drama, okay? There has been so much drama regarding this. And some might say that I sparked it with my previous videos. Listen, all I did was, first of all, I was getting a lot of feedback because, as everyone knows, I'm a former Miss Universe Kenya, and I'm also quite outspoken. I usually have something to say about something, and I'm a journalist as well. So people were coming to me asking me if I was going to chime in on the whole Miss Universe Kenya thing and let people know what's been going on, because there was a lot of disgruntlement online with the overall presentation. I'd kind of try to stick in for the queen and say, hey, her national costume was lost, so go easy on her, and that helped. But then people were still so unhappy. What about those outfit choices? What about this? What about that? Then I started getting information from a leak inside the Miss Universe Kenya organization, and it was a lot. And because in the beginning, I was going hard against the Miss Universe Kenya organization. I was like, you guys, you let this girl down, and she this and she that. I mean, granted, I already told you guys she'd been ignoring me when I was like trying to reach out and ask, would you like some help? But nonetheless, I was still mad at the organization. I thought they must be so disorganized. They must suck. Like, why are they sending this girl out there wearing these things? Then that's when the leak came into my DMs and started telling me all these things, honey. And I was like, ooh, maybe people need to know. So it's at that point that I went to my stories and I was like, okay, so I've been sick for a while. At the time I was sick, I had this nasty flu for about 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, so I've been getting a lot of DMs asking me to chime in on this. And first of all, I just want to know, would you guys like to know the information that I have? Okay, so I asked the public first, okay? I didn't just come with it because I realized it's a little bit outside of what I usually do. I am a Hollywood reporter and TV host. It's what everybody knows me for. But I said, let me just go and ask my audience first, because I am getting DMs after DMs. Please tell us what's going on. Do you know anything? So I asked my followers on my stories, I said, I'm privy to some information. Would you like to know it, or is it a non-issue by now? Let it go. Tens of thousands of votes said yes, 92%. I'm going to post those results up here of the poll that I did. Okay? Because don't play on my top. Some of y'all been playing on my top. And as I'm coming into this, I'm a little bit irritated. Okay? So, and I'm going to address all of that. So I posted it. And 92% of the voters said, yes, spill the tea. We want to know everything. And I also say to them, if I do this, how would you like me to do it? Because it's a lot. It's a lot of screenshots. It's a lot of things. I'm not quite sure how to do it. Should I do it on my stories? But then that will be so many stories. It will be ... It's a little too long for Instagram. Should I put it up on YouTube? Most people, and I say, DM me after you vote and tell me what you'd like me to do. Most people say, put it up on YouTube. So those people in Irene's camp claiming that I'm doing this because I want to grow my YouTube, as if I don't have a video. First of all, our YouTube channel is relatively young for Extra Access TV, but we already have a video with 150,000 views. I interview celebrities all the time. I did not need to talk about Miss Irene Muki to up my viewership. Like, stop being delusional. I'm a little irritated today, and you'll see why. So they said, okay, put it up on YouTube. And I say to myself, I want to come off as being as neutral as possible. And so therefore, as I talk about this, I wanted to be that I'm doing it from a neutral stance, and therefore it probably would be better for me to come at it as a journalist. Let me cover it as if we're doing a long form video coverage story for Extra Access TV, which is the news media outlet that I work with. And so I said, I'm going to do it because why not? Because I did not want to use my own YouTube channel, my own Rachel Mbookie YouTube channel, which if I wanted views, that's where I would send you because it's not active at all. It could use the boost, quite frankly. But I did not want to come at you, talking to you as if it's like from my own personal opinion, because I knew I would be bringing information, which some of it might be uncomfortable, even to me to report. So I kept saying, I'm doing this as a journalist. Everything is alleged, and I'm bringing receipts. And I want you to know that these views do not represent all my views. And then I went on to give you all the receipts that I was given, and then I gave my opinion, and I gave a lot of advice. I talked about how work, but I was not just criticizing. Where I said something was wrong, I said what could have been done alternatively for the benefit of not only Irene herself, but also future contestants watching. I did a whole demonstration with the walk where I said that walk is not what it could have been. So while I'm being told you did not attend catwalk classes, here is what a catwalk class could have done for you. It could have taught you to make your posture better, straighten that walk. I talked about the outfits, the things that went wrong, how I felt like you were there promoting your Inspirin book, which you were. Can we stop playing? Every post, every day at Miss Universe was about, oh, this dress represents this part of Inspirin. And I say that, and people kept laughing at that. I'm like, it's true though. Go back to her page and watch. Every single day, these pants are made with the this and the that and wait, sorry. I learned from her response that it's actually inspiring, not inspiring, which kind of makes sense because her name is Irene and then it's inspiration, so it's inspiring. Every single outfit was about inspiring chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. And my whole thing was, my darling, if your clothes don't look good, nobody cares about the backstory. And that's the truth. That wardrobe was not it. And then here you have this person from the leak from Miss Universe Kenya telling me, well, we gave her a wardrobe. We spent, at the time, the person told me 3,000. But later when I spoke with the entire team, which I will explain later, by the way, they did not approve of me getting these leaks. But in the end, in my opinion, it was a blessing in disguise for them because calling them out is going to make sure they do things better. But they said it was $3,000. And I asked them, was it really $3,000? That doesn't sound like enough. They were like, no, $3,000 is what we spent on the national costume alone. The whole wardrobe was about $1 million shillings. I was like, okay. And they showed that in their video later. So everything was good with my expose, as we were calling it. But really, I was just saying what happened behind the scenes. I'd been told the queen was difficult to work with. They had a wardrobe for her. They spent a substantial amount of money on it. And she went and did her own thing. And I'm going to come back and show you what she ended up with, just bits and pieces, and what they were supposedly promoting, which I'm not sure that was really up to par either. But the fact of the matter is there was a team trying to work with her, and she was thwarting their efforts at every turn of the way, according to what they told me. And as a journalist, I reported the side that they told me. And so after the exposés are out, the next day, the queen resigns. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. I thought she'd come back and say, I did my best. I might have been a bit overzealous in some of my choices, but I was doing it with the best of my intent. And if I failed you, my beautiful countrymen of Kenya, I apologize. But now walk with me for the rest of this journey as Miss Universe Kenya and let us go through it together and watch what we do, something. But instead it was a resignation, and I was like, oh, that has never happened in the history of the pageant. And I would know because I'm a former title holder. So after that happens, I'm like, well, Miss Universe Kenya gives a statement saying, well, we accept her resignation and we look forward to moving on. I thought that was the end of it. I wake up, I think a day later, and she puts out a whole entire video. And I'm like, it's good. Speak up for yourself. Tell your side of the story. But one, I wanted to see her take accountability for the things that she did wrong. But basically what she did was say, I was perfect. Everything I did was great. I did my best. It was all them. But what I did not like, what I took issue with was you sat there and alluded to the fact that I'm a bad journalist and I only told one side of the story. You sat there and claimed that I colluded with Miss Universe Kenya to smear you. And I was like, well, how dare you? I was hypercritical of both you. Actually, I was more critical of Miss Universe Kenya than you. I started with the part one. It was just basically annihilating them, telling them all the ways they went wrong with Annie Cynthia and how they should pay her, and calling them out for saying their design had nothing to do with her, and me pointing out exactly where actually there were inspirations. Pay that girl, even if it's just for her time. And then part two starts with me showing, even though this part affects you too, how the whole Marcy Teach debacle and how everyone thought she was going to win. Her name was in the back saying winner, but then they're calling out Irene Mukia. That is a very bad look for the organization. And then I went in on you on the second part of it, and it wasn't really going in on you. It was just pointing out your choices. How you went there with the wrong strategy to promote yourself and inspiring Irene with your outfits that were not great. And how I read out how they had said that you were not following instructions, and I talked about how, as a queen, that is not right. You should know that you're there representing the country, not yourself. And I kept making it clear. I did try reaching out to you during the pageant to ask if you needed any help. I was ignored. I even raised the alarm when we didn't know where you are. Ignored. And you would watch all my stories. I was ignored. Now, if you don't give me your side of the story, how am I supposed to report on it? You said, oh, she was only reported one-sided things. They came together to smear me. Well, girl, am I supposed to read your mind? Am I supposed to just know what you want me to talk about? Even if you watch a documentary, let's not even go too far. Let's go to the Miss Universe documentary. It was called Cracks in the Crown. It was released by ABC. A hit piece against the Miss Universe organization that was very damaging to the two current owners, Anne and Raul Rocha. It was a very damaging piece. In that documentary, they had all the other side of the story. They did not have the two owners sides of the story. Why? Because they made it clear. We reached out to them. They refused to comment. They refused to be a part of this documentary. So therefore, we are telling you what this other side is saying. And that's all we can do. That is what journalists do, my dear. We don't read minds. So I told the side of the story that was given to me. And I said, they showed me all these things to show that she completely went rogue, did not want to have anything to do with them. She did not take their catwalk lessons. She did not do this. She did not do that. She did her own thing. Had you come and said, actually, Rachel, this is what's happening on my end, believe you me, I would have been team you so hard. That's where I was at anyway, before they came and started convincing me otherwise. And I'm like, in the meantime, she's ignoring me too. And I don't have to repeat everything that was said in part two. You can go watch it yourself and make up your own mind. But I cannot report on a side of the story that I don't have after repeated efforts of reaching you. Now, let me show you how I tried to reach out to this queen. The first time we didn't know where she was, I wrote her a DM, and I'm gonna put it here. I was like, where are you at? Is everything okay? If something is wrong, let me know. When you send someone a DM and you're not following each other, it sends it as an invite to chat, an invite to continue DMing. Unless she accepts my DM, we can't continue DMing. So what did I do after that? I posted a series of stories with a voice note, you could hear I had such a heavy flu. I was actually sick at the time, but I was raising the alarm for you. And I'm like, if anyone knows where this queen is, let us know. And honestly, Irene, if you need any help, I'm here. If it's raising money for your ticket, if it's about outfits, I'll bring you some from LA. I put all of that in the video. And I'm like, if something is going on, let me know, we'll help. And I have people that will also join me and we will make it happen. Don't just like be quiet. Please let us know what's going on. That was how I was sounding. I was sick out of my mind and I was getting out just to put the word out for you. You watched each and every one of those stories and you said nada. You could have told me what was going on with the visa issues. You didn't say nothing. And I'm like, okay. She gets to the Miss Universe. I still do post in support of her here and there, even though I know, well, this queen is clearly not responding to me. She doesn't want to hear from me. She watches everything that I do and responds and says nothing. She knows I'm here. I've already said I will offer help in this way. I will do this. I will do that. If you need anything, help.
I just want to add a little note here, and you'll see why I'm doing this. But notice how I still was. even though she was ignoring me, I still posted in support of her here and there. And the last time I did it was during the national costume. I was trying to get Kenyans to stop being so mad at her. So after I explained that, hey, I've been told the national costume was lost, I'm still posting her walking, and I'm like, look at her, she ate. I mean, for someone who lost her costume. And that's what you're seeing in this. So for those people who are, you're going to see as the video goes on, try to accuse me of hating on this girl or having something against her, keep this in mind, okay? And again, she was seeing all of this stuff. She was seeing even all my support. And remember, I'm doing all these things, saying the things I'm going to do for her publicly on my stories because it's the only way I can reach her since she's not answering my DMs. And she's seeing everything, she's watching them and saying nothing to me. So keep that in mind as we move forward. But the support was there and the offer for more help was there.
So now later on, after you resign, you come out with a video talking about how you were so unprepared and you were suffering at Miss Universe. You didn't have the right things. Well, then why aren't you responding to your pageant sister reaching out to you, asking you if there's help, if you need any help? I said it on my stories. I said, I go to Mexico 3 to 4 times a year. It's just a 3-hour flight. I have all the contacts I need here in LA and Hollywood. I will get you designers. You won't even have to pay a dime. I'll get you pieces from their showroom. I'll bring you someone to help with your hair, everything. She didn't want the help. She ignored it all. There was even a designer I know from the Philippines in the comments saying, I'm so sorry to hear you went through this, but why didn't you tell me anything? I also asked you if you needed help. Why didn't you reach back? So if you were suffering this much, why weren't you accepting help from people? Help could have come. She puts out her response, which ends up becoming, basically Miss Universe Kenya is this horrible organization who did not help her with anything. And then Rachel is this horrible person who is trying to go after her for whatever reason. And this is why I want to, before I move forward, address I call them the Irene comment mafia. Because let me tell you what's been happening. Ever since she posted her video, Miss Universe Kenya posted theirs and I posted mine. I saw it from mine, where a group of people will just come at the same time saying super derogatory things, and they're all saying the same things. And it's all, you are jealous of Irene. This is personal against her. Why should she get back to you? Who are you anyway? You're just mad because she never got back to you. And it's the same things being said, that I have a personal vendetta against this girl, like I'm hating on her. And I'm like, excuse me? Why would I hate on this girl? And better yet, what is so special about her that I would hate on her and none of the other girls who came after me? I represented Kenya at Miss Universe in 2005. There wasn't another representative till 2013 with Gigi Ayugi. And I always supported these girls to the best of my abilities. And just like, I'm cool with all of them to date. There's only one of them where we never really got to know each other. And I think that was in 2018. And that was a tough year for me. I wasn't on social media like that, but I still supported even in comments here and there. But I'm cool with all these girls. So let me show you these girls because I want you guys to tell me why I would be hating on this girl and I've never hated on these other girls. Because to me, that's actually an insult to the other girls as well. So basically you're saying you're so amazing and special that you're the one I've chosen to hate on, because you have something that all the other girls before you didn't. Well, let's take a look at those other girls. Let me show you all the people who have represented Kenya since I did back in 2005. Girls that I'm all okay with, okay? So in 2024, we know that it was Irene, the one that I'm supposedly so jealous of and hating on, right? And then before that, in 2021, that was my girl Roshanara. Here she is. Gorgeous girl, beautiful spirit, great girl. I mean, look at her. But I guess she's not special enough for me to hate on. I just chose Irene, right? Okay, let's look before that. We have the next time we were represented was 2019 before that. And that was by Stacey Michuki. Gorgeous girl, supermodel, super cool with her. She's just an absolute sweetheart. I supported her just like I always do the other girls during Miss Universe. Just as a Miss Universe big sister. All the best. I was rooting for her just like I was for Roche as well. Gorgeous girl, look at her. And you guys say, oh, you're just hating on her because you're much older than her, which we will get into the age shaming in a while. But like, Stacey is actually younger. Stacey is what, 22, 23? But I guess she's not good enough for me to hate on. Yeah, she's not good enough for me to hate on. I only wanted to hate on this girl. In 2018, the year before, there was Wabaya Karaoke. Now, this is the one I'm not too familiar with because honestly, that year I wasn't as plugged in. 2018 was a tough year for me. All right. So I wasn't really on social media as much, but I still had nothing but all the best intentions for her. And one thing about this girl, even though I don't know her that well, I've always thought that she actually, in my opinion, she had probably the best walk out of all of us who ever represented Kenya. That's just my opinion, like really good walk. I just really liked her stage presence and charisma. But I have no issues with her. Never had a fight with her. Never was jealous of her. But again, I guess she's not as special as Miss Irene for me to hate on. Now let's go to 2016. Before that, in 2016, we were represented by Mary Esther Were. She made it all the way to the top 6. She made it all the way to the answers and questions, not just top 20, not just top 15, top 10, top 6, honey. Those last 6 girls standing, she made it all the way. And when I tell you that girl, hey, when I tell you she is regal, when I tell you the way she commanded that stage, beautiful, tall goddess, Amazonian, my goodness. The way I was crying when we made it to the final. Every time when she made the finals, I was like, oh my God. She went to the next level. I was crying, so happy. Supported her so hard. If there was a girl to be jealous of, it should be this one. All Miss Universe pageant enthusiasts are always like, when are we getting a girl like this from Kenya again? Like that girl was just, she was royalty. And listen, I don't understand why Kenyans don't follow her as much or support her as much. My theory is back in 2016, we were not as much on the internet as we are now. The pandemic changed a lot. The pandemic really made us get plugged into so many different things. And I feel like if she had competed post-pandemic, Kenyans would be like bowing down to her every day because she killed it. So I am posting all these girls here to let you know to go follow them. I'm putting up their pictures and I'm putting their Instagrams. Go follow them. But please go give Mary Esther Were her flowers, you guys. She represented that year. If there was someone to be jealous of, it will be her, honey. Oh, but wait, sorry, I forgot. She's not as special as Irene. It's Irene that I actually want to be jealous of. Again, now the other girl who went to Miss Universe after me, the first one to go after me especially was Gigi Ayugi. Oh my God, the way I was in Gigi's DMs. Because I'm like, okay, don't do this. Please do that. Oh my God, what about this? I just was so eager to see her there. And this girl is stunning. Look at that skin. I'm putting her pictures up. Look at that skin, darling. Look at that beauty. Look at all this gorgeous Miss Universe Kenya women that came after me that I have zero issues with. But no, it's Irene that I have a problem with, that I am so jealous of for whatever reason. Whenever I was supporting these girls, nobody paid attention. Nobody cares. But the moment I see BS going on and I say I'm going to call it out on both the part of the Miss Universe organization and the winner because I want better for the girls competing, oh, you're so jealous. You're jealous because you're old and she's 26. My darling, I'm 38 years old and look at me. I mean, you know, one thing I don't get that I keep seeing a lot of Gen Z people age shaming. First of all, aging is a privilege, not a guarantee, my darling. So unless you plan to unalive yourself or be unalived very soon, and so you can never get to see 38, you better watch your mouth. It's a privilege to live. Being older means you've seen more. But on top of that, a lot of y'all be coming for us millennials, and you're out here looking like you're 10 years older than us because we look good. We looked good, honey. Look at me. I look good. Let's not play. Don't play me. Okay. This is 38. Proudly. And I have never hidden my age. Because why should I bother? I have been in the news since I was 19 in 2005 when I represented Kenya. Why should I come back and hide my age? And plus, I'm proud of my age. If I look like crap, maybe I'd be embarrassed, but I look great. And I've achieved a lot. And I live well. And I'm blessed beyond measure. I am so proud of my 38 years on this earth. I would never change them for anything. I loved my 20s, but I'd never want to go back. I was broke in my 20s. I was in college. Now I live in Beverly Hills. We travel the world. I drive 2 brand new Porsches. I want for nothing. We're trying for a baby. I'm blessed and proud. And this is 38, and I'm turning 39 at the end of this month, proudly. And you will see me posted up in my bikini in Mexico, by the way, which is where I'm going to be finishing off the year and heading into the new year. I'm spending about almost 3 weeks in Mexico, darling. where I told you I go every other month. So I really meant it when I wanted to help. But you will see me post my birthday pictures, darling, and I will be like, this is 39. Ushering in the last year of my 30s. Because guess what, darling? My 40s are going to be fabulous. My 50s are going to be fabulous. 60s, 70s, whatever. I don't get it. For me, when I see an older woman, that is goals to me, that is where I want to be, I get so happy. So like, I know this Nigerian woman, she lives here in Beverly Hills as well. She's a friend of mine. I look at her more as one of my mentors. From the moment I saw her, it was love at first sight. This woman is in her mid 60s, gorgeous, put together, okay? Makeup, pristine. She'll be in her heels this high, does yoga every day. She is so fabulous. She is me in 30 years. And I told her, oh my God, I love you. I adore you. You are exactly what I want to be 30 years from now. And do you know what she tells me? She's like, darling, you'll be twice as good as me. And so when you see older women who are basically a picture of you. We're black maybe, or we're from the same country, and I'm showing you you could be in your late 30s, early 40s, whatever, being fabulous and living your best life. You see that and you want to hate on that and put it down and say, well, you're old. You should see women who came before you and say, wow, she's showing me what's possible, and I appreciate her, because even at my age, I have women like that I look up to, and I'm like, yes, I see me 30 years from now. They're letting me know that I can still have it going on. So you come for me, you come for my age, like that is a slice on you, because unless you're planning to be out of this earth tomorrow, that's the only way that you'll never age. Is that what you want? Is that it? Aging is a privilege and not a guarantee. And to age this well, it's an even bigger blessing. So miss me with all of that. And that's the other thing. All these messages are coming mostly from Irene's camp, and I'll talk to you about the Irene comment mafia, as I call them just now. Why are you placing this competitiveness between us? Just because I only made a few criticisms, which everybody else was making, only mine had more information. She should not be in competition with me. I'm 38 years old. I came way before her. I competed 20 years ago. The problem is, I'm the Miss Universe. When you say Miss Kenya, people think of me for all these years, 20 years, and I don't know why it's been. I want someone to come over and take it over. Let it even be her, or the next girl. It's not that you hate that I spoke. And for anyone who's come after me, it's not that you hate that I spoke. You hate that when I do speak, people listen. Now clock that. You hate that when I speak, people listen. People take what I say seriously. And I don't make anyone, I do not force anyone to stop what they're doing and come to my platforms. Anything I say it on my own platforms. I don't go and give an interview with a blogger or a TV station. I literally will say it in my stories. I might put it on my page, rarely, but that's when I really want to just reach more of my audience. Or in this case, put it on YouTube, on our channel. I do not say to anyone, watch this, or let me pay you to watch this. No, I put my opinion out and people listen, and then people agree. That is what you're mad at, that I have that influence. I care about the future of this pageant. Then they say, people have been telling me, a few people who are criticizing me, they're like, Rachel, this is beneath you to cover the Miss Universe Kenya pageant. And I'm like, my dear, check your inferiority complex at the door. Check your inferiority complex at the door. Check your inferiority complex at the door, and do not put that on me. Okay? Don't project it on me, because I am proud of where I'm from first and foremost, which is why when we were doing Mandamano, I'm in Hollywood interviewing these celebs, and I'm like, y'all are going to talk about my country and what's going on, though. We're going to do something about that, because I'm proud to be Kenyan, honey. I'm not those Kenyans who act like, I don't even speak Kiswahili. I don't even speak my mother tongue with your heavy ass Kenyan accent. I'm not one of those. I speak Swahili, I speak Kamba, and I'm proud of me being multilingual. And I even speak German on top of that. Why not? Because I started learning it in Kenya. I love Kenya. I love being Kenyan. Second, this is my pageant alma mater. This pageant changed my life. At the age of 19, I won, and my life was never the same. The opportunities it gave me, I took advantage of them to where I'm sitting here now, and I hobnob with the biggest celebrities in the world, living beyond my wildest dreams. I would have never known I could do all of this if I did not win that pageant at the age of 19. And I won that for the girls after me, so I will always care. Second of all, when Miss USA, who's the representative who goes to Miss Universe, when Miss USA and Miss Teen USA resigned, was it last year or early this year? I think it was last year. When they resigned, I talked about it, but that was not a problem. So you guys want me to talk about Miss USA, but if I talk about Miss Universe Kenya, you don't want me to, and that's my alma mater from my country. Check your inferiority complex at the door before you project it onto me, is what I have to say. On top of that, you say, oh, well, you live in the US, well, why are you bothering with talking about what's going on in Kenya? I will always be concerned with this pageant because, again, like I said, it's my alma mater. But let me give you an example. When Miss USA resigned, so many former Miss USAs came out to talk about it, whether it was in support or not. And case in point, one of the most notable ones was Shayna Mokla. So Shayna Mokla was Miss USA in 1995. She is Travis Barker's ex-wife and the mother of his first set of kids. And Travis Barker is Kourtney Kardashian's current husband. So she is cemented in American pop culture for many reasons. But she went past her Miss USA and she's a legit celebrity. But she always has a lot to say about Miss USA to date. And she had a lot to say about that as well.
Over here, you can see her wishing the girls were going to compete at Miss USA all the best of luck. So she's paying attention very closely to Miss USA every year.
So if Miss USA 1995 cares when Miss USA 2023 resigns, why shouldn't I, Miss Universe Kenya 2005, care when Miss Universe Kenya 2024 resigns or like all these things are going on? Why can't I be all up in it like these queens over here? And then why do you want me to focus more on the American pageant and not my pageant? Why do you think that I am selling myself short or that it is beneath me to cover our own pageant? Why do Kenyans look down on themselves? If we can talk about Miss USA and it goes viral, or they even recently resigned Miss Myanmar, which is a tiny country, but she went viral everywhere, which I'll get into that a little later if I remember.
So I actually did forget to talk about it. So let me just insert it here real quick because it's also going to be related. So what happened was this girl represented Myanmar at this year's Miss Grand International, and her bad attitude ended up leading to Miss Grand International giving a lifetime ban on Myanmar from ever competing in that pageant. Why? Because she, similarly to Irene, did this whole video saying that she was resigning and giving up her second runner-up crown that they'd given her. And at first, everyone was on her side, and she had bashed Miss Grand International and said that this and that. And then it comes out later that the reason she's doing all of this is because she's mad that she did not win the pageant, and she's mad that she did not get, some special titles like best national costume, best this. Basically, she's mad that she was given the second runner-up position. And so they were like, since you have such a nasty attitude and bad sportsmanship, how about this? Your country will never compete again, and we are taking back that crown. Goodbye. So again, this doesn't only happen to Miss Universe Kenya, but also I want to show you what happens when girls are exposed as having bad attitudes, which will take us to the next part of this video. But literally, the whole internet then ended up turning against her because it's like that arrogance of, oh, how dare you make me second runner-up when I'm the best? That's where it led. So that's the backstory.
Why can't you talk about Miss Universe Kenya? The world is so much smaller because of the internet nowadays. How about we have people worrying about Miss Universe Kenya too, so that we have more eyes on us and we also become a powerhouse? If I can help that happen, I will. So you come to me age shaming, shame on you. You come to me telling me, talking about what's happening in my country with this pageant that gave me pretty much a gateway to the life I have now. Well, shame on you as well. And I will not stop. Sorry. You will not control it either. And I'm also a journalist and a TV host. I just chose to go and this is the second time this year I'm highlighting stories happening in Kenya using my platform Extra Access, which usually only highlights Hollywood. Because I believe we need to be heard too. I believe our issues are important too. And I'm sorry if you don't, but that's on you. Don't take it out on me. All right. Now let's get into this issue. So after I put out the videos, she resigns and she puts out this video. And I tell you what, I've already told you I was slighted by that. But let's get into it though. First of all, before I go on to Miss Africa Calabar, because I found out this is not the first time that this girl has done this. It's not the first time that an organization has accused her of being difficult to work with, and it's not the first time that she's gone on a smear campaign against an organization. That is history. That is facts. I did not make this stuff up, and I will go through that with you. I did not make it up. This happened. It had nothing to do with me. I had no idea when it was happening. I just found out about it now because people come to me, did you know that this and this and that happened? But someone in the Miss Universe Kenya comments, I went there and I saw someone saying, well, which again, that is I kept saying that I will talk about the Irene comment mafia. So I saw someone saying, oh, well, even if you don't stand with her, at least African pageant pages are standing with her. And so I was curious to see which African pageant pages these are. And I went and I looked it up. And actually, I only saw one international pageant page that talked about this. I looked at the rest in the Instagram Discover feed. All I saw were Kenyan media blogs and news sites posting about it. But I saw this one from Miso Africa. And what struck me as interesting is most of the comments, I'm talking 99% of the comments, I guess the Irene comment mafia didn't get to this one. In all three posts that this page made, were calling out the obvious, which is what I've been trying to say. They were like, well, why is she resigning now and not before? And when you look at these people's pictures, these are non-Kenyans, even non-Africans in some cases. So, for example, there's a comment here that says, from someone called Lumi Love, I looked at her page, it looks like she's a Southern African. Why did she go to Mexico? She only realized after walking the Miss Universe stage that her values don't align. And then I see someone else saying, she might be going through a lot, yes, but still, Lumi Love asked a valid question. This pageant kiddo is from Namibia, I believe. Asked a valid question. Was she only aware the organization's values don't align with hers after competing in Mexico? Why is she still carrying the Miss Universe? She said Tanzania, which shows you this is not a Kenyan title in her bio. If she does not want to be affiliated with a brand, I'm saying the organization is right, but sometimes we should question both sides. Isn't right, sorry. And then here goes someone else who's also not Kenyan going, same way she resigned from her duties as Miss Africa in 2019. Then that person goes, she's a problem. She needs to focus on other things and leave pageantry. Another one goes, I knew her face was familiar. Look at these names. These are not Kenyan names. This is an African pageant side. And then, another person goes, daily soupings. I think that's like an Asian person. They're like, so before she contested for the national crown, she wasn't aware of their values. This is BS. And then someone else said, you just realized after you presented the most important outfit. Oh, girl, please. There were also other ones. So that was from one post. And then another one, that was from the post announcing her resignation. So that's even before Miss Universe Kenya did their response. And then another one, they posted, I think it was today even, they were like, well, I think the person who runs Miss Africa is Kenyan. They're giving me those vibes. They're like, Miss Universe Kenya 2024 video, but I don't know. Miss Universe Kenya 24 video, 12 minutes reel. Miss Universe Kenya org 1 hour. So basically trying to say, why are they giving a longer statement than she did? And I thought the comments would be annihilating the Miss Kenya organization like others have been, but nope. Again, it's this non-Kenyans going. Here's the first one. I'm disappointed in both the organization, Miss Irene, and the false fans. The false fans are the Irene comment mafia. I'll talk to you about them because they have been on a rampage, honey, trying to change narratives. And like, I'll tell you where I've been told it's all coming from. And then someone here says, this one looks like a Kenyan. In summary, they're just telling their side of the story. Before that, there was another post. I think this one was where so the first one, she announced her resignation. Then the second one, I don't know, this was another post, I guess, announcing the video. And then the first person, you can see it looks like a Latina, Mariel something. She says, why didn't she speak before Miss Universe? I'm going to tell you why I'm saying all of this stuff. Another person, who Jay Sonjay looks Asian, says she just wanted a travel experience and now she has it. Another one, Nobo Daibuti. That's not a Kenyan name. Sis just wanted to compete in Miss Universe. Now that it's over, she doesn't want to be tied down by the pageant. Remember, this is before I spoke and Miss Universe Kenya gave their audience. These are thoughts from other people outside of Kenya. And I'll tell you why I'm letting you know this. Anyway, those are a few good examples. The reason I bring this up is to say if people who are not Kenyan can objectively look at this and say the same things that I've been saying, why is it that some Kenyans are not doing it? Now, let's talk about the Irene comment mafia, which is what I call them. So, when I posted, I noticed a bunch of people coming to my page at the same time, hurling insults, being very derogatory towards me, accusing me of being jealous, that this is just saying the same ish over and over again. And I was like, these people must be getting sent here from somewhere. And so that's when it started being unraveled to me. One person who was so I started deleting comments that were coming from fake pages because, like, you're gonna insult me, do it with, this is not a democracy, okay? You're not gonna come here and insult me behind a pseudo. So I'm gonna delete this disrespectful comments as they're coming in. Come back with your real page. You're not gonna come here, insult me, and do all of this within your coordinated attack. The moment I delete the fake comments, all of a sudden these people start coming now with their real pages, whining again. They're like, it's like they come as a unit. Why are you deleting comments? Why are you deleting comments? I'm like, I've only been deleting comments from pseudos that are insulting me and being disrespectful. Question is, how do you know that I was deleting them? Because I was deleting them immediately. It's because it's you guys. So say what you got to say with your full chest here. Okay? Then as time goes on, someone basically starts going back and forth with me, kind of like a troll. At some point, someone tells me, oh, that's Irene's business partner. This person, I put her there. Eventually, some other guy comes and starts going back and forth with me. Someone tells me, oh, that's her boyfriend. Put him there. And then, so someone tells me what's happening is she has this group, apparently, allegedly, whatever. Everything I say is alleged, first of all. Don't be in my comments telling me put allegedly in front of everything. One, I'm a journalist, but I'm also familiar with the court system. So I know what I'm doing, but also allegedly for everything. But also, if you want to sue me, you're going to have to come here to LA and file suit in court. And lucky for you, I've got lawyer's fees, so we can do this. But please, just let the story continue. Because I'm tired. I've had it. I'm not playing nice no more. Jesus. Yeah, so they come there, they're saying all these things. So I'm told this is a boyfriend, this is, and then I'm told they have this group. I don't know how many people are in it, but it's going to be a lot because this was the group that was put together to vote for her when she was competing at Miss Universe Kenya, because you have to like buy these votes and the person with the most votes looks the most popular, whatever. So that's where they're going and telling all these things and basically telling people go comment and defend her, and people are coming and using the same talking points because there's no way several of you are just going to have the exact same point. The whole thing is strategically made to turn this tide into Rachel is jealous of Irene. She has a personal vendetta against her. They're all saying, well, you're just mad because she didn't get back to you, but who are you? And they're all saying, you have something against her. This is personal. And they're all repeating the same stuff. You'd think it's Groundhog Day. Like, come say the same thing. Come say the same thing. Some of them are not even trying to remix that ish and make it unique. So that's what's happening. See, under my post, it didn't quite work out though, because I obviously have my own audience and I love my audience because most of them are critical thinkers. So they would like challenge them. And also when I take off the fake comments with the insults, you're not able to come as much. So you did not prevail and rule the day under my comments. But if you go to Miss Universe Kenya, you'll see it's the same exact people writing the same crap. If you go under blog posts, it's the same exact people with the same narrative, the same faces. And a lot of them have the last name. Several of them have the last name Muki. So it's her family. It's her friends. There'll be her boyfriend there. There'll be her business partner, then there'll be her fans who are a part of that group, and they all come just doing the same thing. And it's really been working because I noticed in Kenyan media, if you go under our comment section and most people tend to be saying things one way, it's like people are like kind of followers. They'll just go that way. Very few people have the balls to stand and say, wait, but let me question this. So my question is, if non-Kenyans are questioning this and being able to see, well, this, even before they had the organization side, they're asking critical questions. If they were so bad, why didn't you quit before the pageant? Clearly you wanted to just go to the pageant and call it a day. And I agree with that. That was my stance too. It's like, if they were so horrible and you don't align with their values, you could have stepped down, given the other girl a chance to go to Miss Universe. But what you said is, I'm going to just go to Miss Universe, and if I don't win and become Miss Universe Kenya, then I'll just quit. And that's what gets to me and that's what bothers me, because this crown is not about going to Miss Universe. Going to Miss Universe is one of the perks. But the real honor of this crown is having that title for an entire year. Because what you don't realize is you're making history. Even 20 years from now, 30, 40, 100 years from now, if someone asks, who was Miss Universe Kenya 2005, it will always be me. It's not something to take lightly. During your reign, that's the time you should set up all these projects that you have going on. Let people know what you stand for. Actually make a change in your community, and also use that title to enhance yourself and your own career as Miss Universe Kenya, to establish yourself, and then leave it gracefully and move on. Instead, in my opinion, you decided to toss it now that you didn't need it anymore, so that you can now get maybe clout from that and attention from that. I'm the righteous queen who was wronged, and then move on and use that to go on to the next place. When I'm like, you could have just come and finished your reign gracefully and then continued from there. Now, that was already my opinion and the questions I was asking. Then now I start getting information about Miss Universe Calabar. No, sorry, Miss Africa Calabar. Back in 2019, Irene had won this pageant called Miss Africa Calabar. Let me start you off from the drama she caused, and then let's work our way backwards. So, she wins in 2019, reigns in 2020. I believe her official title was Miss Africa Calabar 2020. So she reigns in 2020, then COVID hits, and fast forward, it's now 2022. I think they had another pageant in 2021, but it was just very small and it was virtual because of COVID. But now in 2022, they're having the big comeback. One day, she hits the public with something that just kind of makes the African pageant world come to a standstill. She puts out this statement. Let me read it for you. She puts out a press release on the 7th of November, 2022. The title of the press release is Gross Misconduct by Miss Africa Organization over a two-year overdue agreement. Obviously, that will make you say, what? Okay. Then she goes on to say, it is with deep regret that I write this press address. I can no longer associate myself with the Miss Africa organization in good faith due to the following experience. Upon winning Miss Africa Calabar, part of the prizes I won were a Ford Escape SUV, a fully paid trip to Malaysia, $3,000 for the festival held on 22nd December 2019. I handed over the Miss Africa title in 2020 December, and as such, I should have received the prizes or a full compensation for the value of the prizes won. With the organization, the agreement was a cash alternative to the vehicle. See, this is where my Kenyanness and my Americanness clashes. Kenyans would say vehicle, Americans would say vehicle, okay? That. And that they would organize a meeting with the sponsor of the festival to finalize on the trip and $3,000. Thomas Ikempe, director of Miss Africa Organization, requested I be patient due to the COVID-19 struggle, and I understood. From December 2020, I have only received part of the agreed compensation little by little in 5 random months, which only occurred after many prompts from my part. Additionally, I have asked Mr. Thomas Ikempe and the Miss Africa organization to assist me in collecting on the trip and $3,000, to which they refused. Miss Africa organization remains with a balance of $8,000, with the latest payment being received in January 2022. On top of that, I had to be the one to follow up in June. Mr. Thomas Ikempe pleaded I wait till October 2022, where he promised to clear the outstanding balance. It is now November 2022, and all I have received are excuses. I have not received the outstanding balance of $8,000, $3,000 for the festival, and the trip to Malaysia. I believe my patience is now being taken for granted, and I can no longer give it. As such, I cannot in good faith advocate that any woman, get this part, as such, I cannot in good faith advocate that any woman participates in this pageant. I have lost trust in the organization. Listen to this part. I advise women to retract their commitment and candidacies, okay? I advise women to retract their commitment and candidacies to the Miss Africa organization. I have been more than patient. I have carried your brand name high. Honestly, I am greatly disappointed for the disregard. Former Miss Africa Calabar 2020, Irene Ngando Muki. So when you read that as a person, what do you get from it? When I read it, I was like, oh, it looks like she had won, because the money she's talking about, this is a lot of money. Looks like she'd won $8,000 and another $3,000 and a trip to Malaysia and a Ford Escape SUV. And they never gave it to her. And she feels so badly about it that she's telling this upcoming contestants, like really strongly. She says it twice. She says, I cannot in good faith advocate that any woman participates in this pageant. I've lost trust in the organization. And then she puts this part in bold letters. I advise women to retract their commitment and candidacies. Why? Because these people don't pay. So that will make you mad. So you can imagine how people reacted. They're like, ooh, these people. See, this is what I'm talking about. African pageants, that's why you can't trust them. Yeah, they're always just a mess. They're just a waste of time. Our girls shouldn't compete. So obviously at that point you'll be on her side. So imagine this organization, what they were bombarded with on their social medias. How dare you do this to our queen? Similar to what's going on right now. People went with pitchforks. How dare you not pay this girl? How dare you? How dare you do this to her? Right? Until the organization finally responds. Now let's talk about how they responded. Let's go into their response. So I'm reading this article from calitown.com and I'm highlighting the response, which they also posted on their social media, and they also posted it in the comment sections of the major blogs that were covering this. Now let's get into it. They go. Christian Ita, SA Media and Chief Press Secretary to the CRS governor, I'm not sure what all that means, immediately reacted to Irene Muki's letter and contentious issues. He wrote, we will like to clear the air on a message that has been brought to our notice on a post by one of our past Miss Africa queens, Irene Ngendo. Well, they did not spell her name correctly, which again shows you they're not Kenyan. These are Nigerians, I believe. And then they go on. On winning her crown, she was paid her prize money of 35,000 United States dollars in full. How much is $35,000 in Kenya shillings? That's about 4.5 million Kenya shillings. So they say on winning her crown, she was paid her prize money of 35,000 United States dollars in full and given her brand new car. After her reign in 2020, she offered to sell her car, and the organization is aware and can confirm that $10,000 has been paid with a balance of $8,000 due before the grand finale. On the $3,000 and trip to Malaysia she won as a winner of the food festival, this was a promise made directly by the sponsor, as Miss Irene can confirm, and not the Miss Africa organization. However, due to the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020, the trip did not hold, and Carnival Calabar has not held for 2 years, same as Miss Africa Pageant in 2021. We still believe that the sponsor will use this year's event to redeem that pledge, as the food festival is billed to hold. The Miss Africa organization would like to state clearly that the organization made sure that all her prizes were given to her, which she can confirm before she left Calabar for her home country, Kenya, as we have kept our promises to all our past and present queens. The Miss Africa organization has been in constant communication with Miss Irene and will help to ensure that all third-party pledges and transactions are redeemed appropriately. What does that tell you when you read that? When I read Irene's statement at first, I was like, wow, they never paid her, because she never mentioned anything about having received $35,000 up front. Now, let's put a pin in that. I want to show you something real quick. They even have photographic evidence to this day on their page of Irene receiving all of these gifts up front. They have a picture of her, and I'm going to post it here. There's a picture of her when she won. She's holding that big check showing that she's getting $35,000, about 4.5 Kenya shillings today. This was back in 2019. And then there's a picture of her actually holding the $35,000 in her hands together with the runners-up. I believe one got $5,000, another one got $10,000, which, ladies, quiet as it's kept, y'all need to look into competing in this pageant. These prize packages are even more prestigious than most international contests out here. Other than Miss Universe and Miss Grand, I'm not even sure Miss World gets that much. Like, look into it, girls. They are paying, okay? They're making it rain over there. I know Miss Intercontinental does not get that much for sure, but I'm not sure. But like, trust me, most pageants, you don't get this type of money. So there's a picture of her holding the money. Here you go. You might be surprised to find out that $35,000 in cash is not a lot of money to hold in your hand. You might think, I know when Kenyans hear 4.5M, they expect a lot of notes, but in dollars, yep, that looks pretty much like what $35,000 would look like. Okay, because you've got $100 bills and then you put them in stacks of hundreds. So, yeah, thousands. Like you put stacks of hundreds in $1,000. 35 of them is not really like going to be something huge. So there she's holding them. Then here you see her with her car that she won. She's got pictures in the car. She's walking into the car. She's inside the car. So she got her car up front and she got the $35,000. So what happened was after she won this money and got this car, and after her reign, she came back and she was like, you know what, you guys, how about you guys keep the car and then you give me the money that the car is worth? So they determined that the car is going to be worth $18,000. So remember, they already malizanaed with her. Then she comes back, she's like, instead of me taking this car, can you just sell it and give me the money? In my opinion, they should have told her, girl, you got the car, go sell it yourself and work it out. But they were like, we'll do it for you, we'll sell the car for you. So they end up deciding it's going to be worth $18,000. She gets $10,000. And then after that, they're like, we'll give you the 8,000. And then COVID breaks, right? The food sponsor that had promised her a trip to Malaysia and an extra $3,000 didn't come through because, listen, during COVID, things happened. A lot of things came to a standstill. You don't even know if after COVID, if this business was still in operation. A lot of businesses shut down during COVID. COVID is not something that any of us anticipated. Now, granted, they owed her $8,000 still, but they hadn't given it to her yet. But by the time she's leaving them, like I said in my caption, she had profited $45,000 from these people. On top of that, there were trips. She was hanging out with Nigerian celebrities. There was a lot of exposure. If you even go on her page or their page, you see her like hanging out with the Kenya Tourism Board. Like she used that title to open a lot of doors for herself. To actually put this in perspective, let me read you guys a text I got from the person who actually brought this to my attention, just so you can get that context. I think Miss Africa Calabar changed its name because of her statement. Because if you go to their Instagram now, instead of it saying Miss Africa Calabar like it used to, it now says something like Miss Africa Production. Which, why would they change their name from Miss Africa Calabar to Miss Africa Production? It doesn't even make that much sense. But she says, I think Miss Africa Calabar changed name because of her statement and how it painted the organization. I remember at one point, I asked Irene if the organization indeed paid her. She says 1.5 million. I guess that's for the anyway, she paid her the 1.5 million in her IG. She actually got a lot more than that. She got more like 4.5 million. 5.8 million actually. 4.5 million is 35,000 and then 5.8 is $45,000, which is what she got. Paid her the 1.5 million in her IG stories, and she confirmed they did. The organization was really coming up, and I remember they were looking for people to represent countries. I think they once texted me on IG, but I couldn't pay for the registration, and I thought they were fake. Then I later realized that Irene took part in the competition and won. You know, an organization paying you 1.5 million in 2020 was such a big deal. Again, she was paid a total of 5.8 million, not even 1.5 million, which alone is a good amount anyway. Probably they failed her in some way, but I guess her speaking about them like that was so much out of order. She managed to tour some countries in Africa during her reign and had big platforms, even with Regina Daniels, who is a Nigerian actress, I came to find out. She's like a big time Nigerian actress. Even with Regina Daniels, you can still see the posts on her page. It paved way for her to go to Miss Grand, but it's so unfortunate if this is how she repaid the organizations that gave her a platform. Then she continues, I believe with the title, an aggressive queen can sign a lot of deals and be a brand ambassador if they are really focused. I'm following closely from what Miss Universe Kenya has to say. Thank you for being such a light in the industry. Da 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 da. We root for the young girls, etc. I agree with that. I am an example of an aggressive queen, okay? Honey, I took that Miss Universe Kenya title and I ran with it. And I made it work for me at every turn, okay? Because it is a prestigious title, okay? I made it work for me. By the time I got to the US, I'd already traveled the world. I had shot commercials in Lebanon. I'd been to Europe. I'd been to Dubai before even people were going to Dubai. Like I did a lot and I was always traveling to model. And then I got to the US, and you best believe I leveraged that title. And even to this day, having that title in my resume is still a flex, okay? Because it's a lifelong title that means a lot. And guess what, Irene? You cannot use it anymore. You gave it up. You only had it for 2 months. However long that was. So I agree with her. A queen can take that and go. So from what I understand, Irene has an extensive pageant history. Apparently, she was Miss JKUAT. JKUAT is a university in Kenya. So she was Miss that university. Then she was Miss this. Then she was Miss Universe Kenya. Then she went for Miss Grand International. But this is what she did. Now, talking about what the journalist said about me when I was 19. Actually, it was on Facebook, and I was having a conversation with some old heads in pageantry in Kenya that I knew from back in the day. And there was a journalist who came and wrote this comment. And basically, it's something to the effect of, he remembers me from back in the day. He used to write about me a lot. And yeah, I would always be at his desk doing interviews, and that's it. And he said one thing that stuck with me. He said, "You used to care more about protecting the Miss Universe Kenya brand even more than the organizers." Because it's true, my organizers, they let me down a lot too. But at the age of 19, I understood this title. The organizers might come and go, but I'm going to be attached to it forever. Who remembers who even did this pageant in 2005 when I won? Nobody remembers it was Nancy Wetstein. Very few people do, but they remember that I was Miss Universe Kenya. I'm part of a legacy now, and I'm going to make sure that I do my best to make it work with what I've got. So there'd be times when the people who own the pageant were dropping the ball, and I'd be there trying to do damage control. At the age of 19, I understood this. If I could understand that at 19, why can't you be able to understand that now at 26 and even a couple of years back when you're in your early 20s? Because here's an organization that gave you so many amazing opportunities, and they did give you your prize money up front. This money that you're demanding from them is from a favor they did you. You went to them and said, "Keep the car, give me the money." And they were gracious enough to say, "You know what, we'll sell the car for you and give you the money." Okay, they didn't give you the whole amount. And maybe that's not cool, but for you to take that and use that to tarnish them so hard, and even say strongly to upcoming girls, withdraw your petitions to go and compete at the pageant, withdraw your applications, is so wrong in my opinion. Just because they were not perfect till the very end. You complained that they were not as responsive to you as they used to be. COVID just happened. They're opening up a new pageant and they're still communicating with you. They're just telling you, just wait. Okay, let's wait till this. But at this point, at what point do you say, well, they've already given me so much already. Let me just be patient with them. And then what I did not like is, if you go back to Irene's statement, all she did is mention the money they owed her. So when I read the statement, I thought that this girl won $8,000, a car, a trip to Malaysia, and another $3,000 that they never gave her. How do you started that statement by saying, my prize fund was $35,000 and a brand new car, and I was given those straight away up front? I would have believed that you had better intentions with this press release. But you left that out because you know the nuances of communication on social media are very important. If you were to say they gave me $35,000 and a brand new car, then I told them, keep the car, give me the money instead. Then they gave me $10,000 out of the $18,000 I was supposed to get from the sale of the car, which they did for me graciously. People will be like, girl, you already got so much from them. Can't you just be a bit patient? I mean, we just came from COVID. It's not like they never paid you before. You knew you would get such feedback. You knew you would get such comebacks. You did. So what did you do? You left that part out because most people don't know that you had this money already. A lie by omission is still a lie in my book. You did not paint a clear picture. You wrote it in a very clever way to manipulate the public into being outraged because they're going to think this poor queen wasn't paid. So you used half truths to tell a story, and then you came back and made it seem like this organization, which gave you all these amazing opportunities before, never did anything for you. And you even went as far as to tell African girls not to compete. Had you started this statement by saying, they paid me my prize money immediately I won, right on the spot. They gave me the $35,000 and a brand new car. They did their part. The other part, if you made it clear, that was supposed to come from a sponsor, not them, but I haven't received it yet. And then if you were to say, and by the way, the 8,000 they owe me, it's from, remember the car they gave me? Yeah, I kind of came back and said, can I get cash instead? And they said, yeah, we'll sell it for you. Then they gave you 10,000 and there was an 8,000 balance. Had you said all of that and then you finished it with, I implore you African girls, don't compete. People will be like, are you crazy? You got $45,000. Do you know what that can do for someone? Do you know what that can do for a young girl? And you're telling them don't compete when they gave you your prize money up front. They did. They gave you all your prizes up front. You're telling the next girl not to go because you decided to sell the car in the last minute. And for whatever reason, now they are not being perfect either. They didn't give you that $8,000, but they kept promising they were going to give it to you. You couldn't just be patient with them because you did not get it when you wanted it. And you gave them a few chances and you're like, well, I'm going to burn this to the ground and make sure nobody else wants to compete. Why would you do that? Because remember that journalist saying that I would go out of my way to protect the Miss Universe Kenya organization even more than the owners? I did that because I understood at the end of the day, this is my legacy. I'm going to be tied to this title forever. So I'm going to protect it. I would have said in that position, like, okay, they're dropping their ball, they're annoying me, but every family squabbles, whether it's a work family or this family, it's never perfect. I'd say, well, they're letting me down right now, but I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to smile. I understand they had actually invited you to that coronation of the 2022 queen, and they told you that when you come, that's when they'll give you the other prize money. Instead of you just waiting and showing up, you try to burn the pageant to the ground so that the girls who are supposed to compete don't go. Such a selfish move, because why would you take a potential $45,000 out of a new queen's pocket who needs it? Why would you paint such a picture like these people never did anything for you, never gave you your money so that nobody else goes? Because had you told the full story, they'd have been like, girl, you are tripping. I am going for my 45 grand. They can hold on to the 8 grand. I will keep waiting for it for a couple of years. But that 45 grand could do a lot for me right now as an African girl in an African economy post-pandemic. So that's where everything changed for me. And I was like, okay, something is wrong with this girl. There is something wrong with this girl, because to me that was wrong. For you to do that to an organization which pre-pandemic did everything they were supposed to do, and then some stalls came and they told you it's about the pandemic. Now, as far as the sponsor goes, that is something promised by the sponsor. The most they can do is tell the sponsor, hey, remember the promise you made? Can you honor it? But we were in a time where everything was no longer the same, Irene. Everything had changed. Maybe that sponsor went out of business. Do you know how many businesses closed during the pandemic? You know how many of my favorite restaurants here in LA don't exist anymore because they never made it past the pandemic? So many types of businesses. And if this was a food fair, can you imagine if the whole thing was having food fairs out in the open in a time when people are not allowed to go to gatherings like that? Maybe they took a hit. Where was the understanding? But then instead of you making it clear, call that company out by name and say, this company promised me this and they never gave it to me. You still put it on the Miss Africa Calabar organization. So I feel like you have this pattern of taking these people in these organizations for granted. They give you all these opportunities. They go out of their way for you. And granted, they're not perfect, but you are not perfect either. And you hold them to such impossible standards because now you tarnish this company's name so much. And I can imagine just how disappointing it was for them. And you did it right ahead of their 2022 crowning. Bad press. That is so wrong to do. In my opinion, that's wrong. You are not going to believe this. So here I was already done shooting part 3, and I was just going to go now and, download the videos and start my editing process. I had reached out to Miss Africa Calabar. They had acknowledged the receipt of my initial message. Then I'd followed up on WhatsApp with questions and I hadn't had back. So I'd kind of just given up waiting and I'd said, well, I'm just going to tell the story from what we know publicly and their statement and go from there. Soon as I'm done, I get a phone call, I get a message, and it's them. And they're like, oh, I'm about to answer your questions on WhatsApp.
And then we go on to have over an hour conversation, you guys. And I have the audio. What? I was like, look at God. Look at God. Because the Iron comment mafia was going to be under here saying, it's a lie, it's a lie. Even though we had a lot of great evidence already because it was all online, the statement they gave at the time. But to hear it straight from the horse's mouth and to hear what went down, how this organization was betrayed, I'll just let you hear it all for yourself. So here are some tidbits of what we talked about. So I'm interjecting this part. Probably my makeup looks like crazy now because it's been a while. I'm not even touched up. I don't even care. So I'm just going to let you hear the important part and hear it first, straight from the horse's mouth. Look at God. Look at God. When you're on the side of the truth, the universe conspires to make it all happen.
How are you doing, Rachel? Nice to meet you. My name is.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. I'm doing great. First of all, Calabar is like an area. Is it like a state or a city in Nigeria?
Okay, so Calabar is the capital of a state in Nigeria.
I see.
Yeah, Calabar is the capital of a state in Nigeria, which is called Cross River State.
Oh.
So, yeah, so we're actually like the number one tourism state in Nigeria.